name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Good morning.
Good morning.
Outstanding. Achilles, the great hero of Homer's epic poem, the Iliad, is considered to be a figure that is timeless and eternal. I don't think I'm spoiling this for any of you by letting you know that Achilles goes into the battles for Troy knowing that this will be a one-way trip. He knows through prophecy that he will die. What makes Achilles an eternal figure, a timeless figure, is not that he lived a long life, but it was the notion that because his life culminated in obtaining the glory that he so sought, that moment would always remain. That in that moment where he would always live, he would not grow old, he would not fade away. And there were neither parents, nor friends, nor country, nor anything else that Achilles preferred to the goal that he sought. Today, we find ourselves celebrating as the Church of Christ a feast of worldwide importance, a worldwide scope. Today is the feast in the Orthodox Church of All Saints. All Saints means all of them. The ones that we know, as well as the ones that we don't know. When someone has a baptismal name that we can't readily find on the calendar, we solve the difficulty by celebrating their name's day on All Saints, in the expectation and hope that there might be some blessed one in the kingdom with that name. And the gospel that those saints are called to preach also has a worldwide scope. To paraphrase Matthew's gospel, it is to all the nations. Or if you prefer the verbiage of Mark's gospel, go therefore and preach the gospel unto the whole of creation. How then, do we square away the universality of this gospel with the very hard and exclusionary contradictory statements that Christ makes in today's reading? Today's reading does not present us with a warm, fuzzy, easy-to-take Jesus. He makes hard statements that are not bound to win him any popularity contests, and perhaps he makes it clear that nothing could matter to him less. And we hear him say things like, whoever loves son or daughter, brother or sister, mother or father more than me is not worthy of me. He who denies me before men, that one I will deny before my Father in heaven. And we can reconcile a little bit better the universality of the gospel and the exclusivity of Jesus Christ that he puts before us if we understand another word that gets thrown out today, that gets thrown out a little bit too easily by us and a little bit too quickly, namely that word saint. Now, in our popular thinking, in sort of the popular mode of thought, a saint is some flawless individual given a privileged position based on their spiritual perfection. This is, of course, theologically very, very incorrect. Nevertheless, it remains the popular conception. But if we look at the word itself, it tells us a very different story. For that word saint, which means to be holy, which means to make holy, whether you're looking at it in Latin, sanctus, Greek, agios, Kadash and Korban, the Hebrew and the Aramaic, in every case it comes from a root term meaning to make separate and distinct, to set something aside for a service higher than it would achieve on its own, of its own merit, in this case, service to the divine. You may have many cups in your home. But the moment that you use one of those cups in the divine liturgy, suddenly it becomes a chalice, and returning it to normal drinking afterwards would be unthinkable. This idea of sanctification, making holy, that is communicated by the word saint, so alters and changes the trajectory and the purpose and scope of whatever it attaches itself to, that whatever takes that term can no longer go and rejoin the family of ordinary things from which it came. Every chalice is a cup. Not every cup is chalice. If we take seriously what we say about the nature of this body, what we say about the nature of the church, we can start to reconcile the exclusivity and the universality in Jesus and the gospel, respectively. For we say that we are a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a people set apart. But you can only communicate from what you have. You can only communicate from what is yours. We say that Christ is the Logos, the Word made flesh, and a word exists for no other primary purpose except to communicate, except for us to have a conversation. And we can only communicate, we can only have that conversation if somehow I'm distinct from you and you are distinct from me. The moment that we are synonymous and indistinguishable, at best, we can hope for a monologue. The Christian who becomes synonymous with his surroundings, synonymous with the age and the time in which he lives, no matter what the age or culture is, also becomes unable to preach the gospel. This lonely road in the spiritual life of the Christian is very often a lonely road. It demands that we be distinct from all that is around us in order to communicate with it. And not just distinct for its own sake, but distinct in the same way that Jesus Christ is distinct, sharing in his distinctive qualities in some way that is identifiable. He who loves mother or father, son or daughter, brothers or sisters more than me, dare I say, he who loves the culture, he who loves history, he who loves the applause, the praise of men, and the roar and applause of the crowd more than me, that one is not worthy of me. That one becomes unable to preach a gospel that he does not embody to a world from which he is not distinguishable. The demand of Jesus Christ is that those of us who dare to call ourselves by his name share him as the final word, as the final standard, not the times that we live in, not the culture, not the place that we're at, not even our own preferences and inclinations, but Jesus Christ as the final standard by which the Christian life and the Christian gospel either rises or falls. It is true that he who is left behind parents, children, or homeland, for my sake will receive 100-fold in the kingdom. But it is also true that a saint, or as Jesus would put it, a prophet, is without honor in his own home.